Golf is one of the most addicting things out there. It is ridiculous. I went to Topgolf one time, I hit one good shot, and then I proceeded to spend the next 3 years working in golf retail. So, today I wanted to kind of talk about my experience during those 3 years, kind of what I learned about the golf industry, and just some of the things I ran into. So, something that I noticed was a lot of customers usually fell into certain archetypes. For example, you'd have the people that were always there 10 minutes before the store opened. No matter what, every weekend on the front of the glass doors, right? We'd look over and it was either one of two people. Someone who is 85 or someone who is 10 minutes late to their tee time and forgot pro shops were a thing. You then have the other side of that problem where it would be 15, 20 minutes past close and there'd still be people walking around. This would happen pretty frequently. It wasn't a massive problem, but when it did happen, it was super annoying. Our corporate policy prevented us from being too enthusiastic about getting people out of the store. We were allowed to let them know, hey, store's closed, you can still buy your stuff, but we're trying to close up for the night. That's pretty much the limit of what you could say. You could remind them every so often, but you can't really do more than that. Sometimes they would just look at you for like a solid 5 seconds, the most blank, nobody's home stare ever, after you tell them this. They would then come out with, oh yeah, no problem. I'm just gonna finish up looking around real fast and then I'll be out of your hair. So, I wasn't aware that you made the rules. I wasn't aware that you gave us our hours. Bro, it would be 8:30 on a Friday night. We closed at 8. But it is Friday, Saturday night. You're in a golf store half hour past close. Do literally anything else with your time. It's 8:30. Friday night. Prime time. That doesn't mean you have to go out and party. You can be at your house watching a movie for all I care. Watching some YouTube. Eating a snack. Point is, you should be doing anything else but being here at this moment. Okay, so enough complaining. I'm going to start getting into the golf specific stuff now. So, one of the things about the golf industry that a lot of people are really skeptical about is the marketing campaigns, with every brand offering, the fastest driver, the most accurate putter, the most forgiving irons. This is pretty typical language for pretty much every brand and every product release. So you're sitting there looking at all these promises and wondering, well, who's telling the truth? Who's actually the best? And the truth is, they're all pretty close. They're all about really similar in quality, and most of the time it's going to come down to personal preference and what feels comfortable in your hand. There is not going to be a club that significantly outperforms the others nowadays. This is not really the case for older stuff, but nowadays golf club technology has advanced so much that pretty much you could walk into any golf store, buy any relatively new product, and it's going to be quality, right? It's not going to be a total piece of garbage, waste of money. During a lot of the fittings that I did, there would not be one brand that would really outsell the other ones on a consistent basis. There would be a few times where a brand would come out with a certain new product that most people liked, and they would see a little bit of a surge in sales. But for majority of my time there, it was pretty mixed up. There would be people that prefer one brand throughout their whole bag. There would be other people that liked to mix it up a lot. And there would be the majority of people that just played what felt best for them, right? During the fittings that I would do, the customer usually went with whatever clubs gave the best results on the simulator. This kind of segues us into my next point. There is a conspiracy out there that golf simulators in retail stores are rigged to sell more equipment. I have the scoop. This is not true. I'm not saying it's not a possibility for one or two out there to be a little funky with the altitude or the wind, but I will confidently say that a vast majority are not set up that way. Just because it is highly against the rules to manipulate the customers into thinking they did better than they actually did. That's generally frowned upon. So, the reason this conspiracy, I think, became a thing in the first place is these simulators will simulate pretty much perfect conditions, right? No wind, perfectly cut fairways, and you're hitting off of a map, which is a completely flat line. Another thing about hitting off of mats is if you chunk the ball or thin the ball a little bit, you're not really going to notice because it's going to give out under the club and the shot's going to feel a lot better than it would if you were on real grass. If you were outside and you hit, half inch behind the ball, you're going to chunk the heck out of it. Whereas in a simulator, it might feel a little funky, but the ball's still going to go in the air. And so that's why there's a lot of conspiracy about that. Because it is possible to manipulate the altitude or the wind. But the monitors get checked before every fitting. We can show the customer the settings upon request. All the stuff we do on the monitor is displayed on the screen. So the reason that a lot of people think they hit it way farther in the simulator is they don't have to deal with the wind. Some crappy course conditions outside could, reduce ball flight. And some people just find it easier hitting inside where it's a controlled temperature and it's not super hot outside. So there's a lot of different factors. But for a vast majority of golf simulators, you do not have to worry about them being manipulated by the altitude or the wind or anything like that. Most of the time, that is the number. And during a round of golf, you're going to get tired. You might get hungry. There might be moments where you feel more excited. There might be moments where you don't feel as energized. And so your distances are going to vary a lot. So your inside numbers and your outside numbers won't match up perfectly, but that doesn't mean the simulators are wrong. So if some guy walks in going, hey, I know for a fact that I carry my 7-iron 180.
Stop the cap.
During the fitting, it doesn't go more than 155 in the air. He goes, oh, this thing's busted. No, stinky. It's just not rolling out 30 yards. In the simulator, if you have typically a 7-iron, which we use for most fittings, the ball is going to stop pretty close to where it lands if you have a good descent angle. And so, if you're hitting the ball well, it's not going to roll out 30 yards. Or it shouldn't roll out 30 yards. That's not what you want with the approach club. So, that could be one of the disparities that you might come across. Last thing I'll touch on about the golf industry for now is pretty exclusive to the retail side of it. It's the used club situation. And what I mean is a lot of people will come in to trade in their old stuff to either get credit toward some new stuff or just use that money to buy clothes, shoes, whatever. The problem is the result of the trade-in is usually a lot lower than the customer expects it to be. This is for a few reasons. First thing is, store can't really operate on a loss, so the automatic system that gives us the quote will typically spit out a number that's a lot lower than what's expected. Brands, set of irons from about a year ago, pretty good shape, gonna be worth around probably like $350, $400, around there. Say, hey, I bought these for $1,200 last year. Well, the system is saying there we can give you $400, maybe 500-600 at best, but it's going to be a big drop off from what you bought them for. So if you're looking to get close to what you paid for it, do not think about trading in stuff. If you're trying to get similar value, Facebook Marketplace is probably your best bet. I'm not even saying that's a better option, because a lot of people may not pay that price for something that is used. Not saying that used clubs are bad. Some used club finds can be awesome. In fact, most of them are in still pretty great shape. But the reality is, if you go to a retail golf store expecting to get close to what you paid for, it is not going to happen, because it won't let us adjust that price. It spits out a number, and whatever that number is, it is always going to be a little bit lower, and it's not going to be anything close to what you thought it was going to be. So that's kind of the situation with used clubs, because I know a lot of people will get really upset, and a lot of people kind of borderline yelled at me when I would say their Scotty Cameron was worth about $150 and some animal crackers. I didn't come up with that. It isn't my fault. That sucks. I'm sorry. But that's pretty much how trade-ins go, no matter where you go. So that's just kind of 2 cents on that. So this was my first YouTube video ever, so I apologize if the quality wasn't up to par. Bad joke, sorry. But I'm gonna try and make these better. I'm gonna try a few different types of content out, so subscribe if that's something you're interested in. Maybe give the video a like. And my name is Super Spartan, and I'll see you around sometime.